Hi, Stonewall. I'm back. I'm Onyx the Eevee, and I'm back from my hiatus. Guess what? You can't get rid of me. I'm stuck. So, basically...
I've tried for years.
Ignore him. Basically, we are going to be talking about time skips today, because I'm back from my hiatus. Basically, a time skip is in the name. It's the writer skipping time that they don't want us to see or need us to see for us to understand the story. That's what it's supposed to be. Oftentimes, time skips are used to repair the city after a big battle so that the heroes can heal up and they can have the award ceremony in a non-destroyed city, New York. Because apparently, that's unprofessional. Time skips can also take a period of several years or even decades. Think of sometimes they're skipping between seasons to have the characters grow up for a few years, or next generation context where we're now stuck with the main characters, dumbass kids. But a great example of a long time skip is the One Piece time skip. Through a period of 2 years, all of the Straw Hats grow up and glow up. And I mean that literally, with Usopp going from a skinny coward to a buff coward. Because he was on an island trying to eat him. Not even joking, One Piece is weird. All the Straw Hats grew in some way over the 2-year time skip, with each of them having some form of training or research period. Chopper was on an island full of potato people and giant birds, learning medicine. Robin was with the Revolutionary Army, and Brooke became a superstar.
Wait, is it racist to call them potato people? Also, I'm here anyways. You mentioned time skips, and, well, the term time skip is generally pretty, vague, as it can define anything from that period of time to, well, going on about another anime that has infinitely rotted my brain to the point of me going absolutely insane, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. None of the parts are about the same member of that family. Like, part 1 takes place in way, like, in the past. I can't remember a specific time. But Battle Tendency Part 2 takes place during or right before World War II. We know this because, well, I can't say what he works with on YouTube, but okay, it's either work with those people or let the immortal, not vampires, eat the world. I'm probably wrong on what the Pillarmen are, but, they created the vampires. Interrupting that, yeah, just time skips, like, going into different generations. Like, yeah, sure, we don't always see the beloved characters as much, but it could be an opportunity to tell a new story. Even if it's not the exact same, like, story, it's different. Like, the feel of Part 3 compared to how Part 4 feels are very different. Yet both parts are beloved for different reasons. Like, the characters... yeah, this was unscripted on my part. I just wanted to butt in. Sorry, I'm going now.
Later, Quartz. Basically, I didn't mean to harp on new generation time skips. A lot of the times, it's not handled great, mainly because it doesn't leave the stories in a satisfying place.
Just because the freaking Naruto, like, reboot thingamabobber that I know nothing of. I haven't heard good things about it.
Neither have I. Me and Quartz don't watch Boruto or Naruto. We're not fans of ninjas. But, yeah, from what we've heard about it, it's not good. But, we don't have much to say about it. But it's also a situation with other franchises. Star Wars! I'm gonna have Star Wars people in my comments now. Oh no. Well, that's fine. You guys are welcome here. Just be nice, please. Well, New Generation can classify with the whole, technically there's a time skip between the prequels and the originals. Where, we see Luke and Leia as babies, and now they're adults between them. And then there's the sequels.
Going on to something a bit more positive. Hello, I'm here to save you. In regards to the prequels, the funny thing is, yeah, they came out after the originals. Which brings up the question, isn't it time skip if you go back in time? Does that mean the movie Freebird?
It's not Thanksgiving. We're not talking about Freebird. Don't worry. He'll respond in 5 minutes. basically, technically, the prequels have a time skip between the prequels and the originals. It's a time skip because we don't see these characters. But the prequels are more of a flashback rule. What flashback rules and prequels have the exact same rule. If a character's not in the modern day, they're either A, dead, B, unimportant, or C, other. The other never really comes up that often, but with exceptions. A is more common, B is funny. Basically, with flashbacks and stuff, yes, technically it is a time skip of sorts, but not necessarily in the traditional sense. And no, Freebird does not count. But with time skips between generations, it also has the problem of, well, being kind of forgetting where the characters left off. Back to the sequels, because I kind of have to talk about them. Yes, we have Han and Leia breaking up off screen after we just got them together. Apparently them having a kid that is now evil, and Luke being a hermit where we don't know where he is until the second movie.
To summarize, it's not very respectful to make characters that were beloved in another part made off as complete
Jokes, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing up JoJo's Bizarre Adventure again because, once again, I feel like it handles things amazingly. Part 3 mainly focused on Jotaro Kujo, old Joseph Joestar, and, and their journey to Egypt to stop, There's a lot of things I can say about Neo, but that's off topic. Meanwhile, Part 4 does feature Jotaro, older, and he came here to look into, an affair that Joseph had, which resulted in Josuke, who we don't... The issue with, having an older character come back is they've already gone through their journey. They're going to be a lot stronger. And since Jotaro is a lot stronger, won't he make the problems that they encounter in Part 4 pretty trivial? No, because he's not the focus. He's there to help, but it's mainly focusing on Josuke's story, and it doesn't make Jotaro out to be a complete joke. I wish I had more input on Stone Ocean, but I've yet to meet that Netflix executive that I was going to put in a hole. You should probably cut this out, or the police will be on the way.
With that, it also implies a nice thing that you can do with new generation time skips. Make the old main character a mentor. The Star Wars sequels tried to do this, but made Luke completely different than his original. Yeah, The Mandalorian tried to fix this, but kind of just fell into the similar hole. I'll get into The Mandalorian and all those other shows later.
I'm going to advise that you do not get into Star Wars. You will suffer.
I know, and I already am. Last video, I'll link it below. I talked about how Rey is just barely not a Mary Sue. And I'm gonna have some people on my back because of that.
I mean, we'll see. Not immediately,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. But with it, it's giving the main character something new to do. A lot of the time, mentor, I've talked about this in a short, I'll probably talk about this again in a long form, are kind of one of the most, dead occupations you can have in a story. Yeah, if you are the main character and are now a mentor, you're probably gonna get killed off.
You're gonna get killed off or put in critical condition, to say the least.
Yeah. But you can also see the other characters again. If you understand where the characters' arcs left off, you can do more for them. But there's also the situation of last generation, they already had their arcs. Heck, you had said it in the centuries later, was the characters now being dead and gone? Was it now being a time skip of new characters in the same world as it has changed? Yeah, it's not going to have the same fan base. I cannot use words today, don't make fun of me. But it's basically a new story in the same world. Actually using that information that you got.
Of course, you can use the same characters anyways, like with The Legend of Zelda. But hey, if I try getting to that timeline, I'm going to get more wrong than with what I've said about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, probably.
Yeah, we do not need to turn this into a Zelda video. Most of our brains will explode by the end. But there's also something else that does it great. Technically, Legend of Korra. We see three of the old
boy,
Team
you're
Avatars.
saying nice things about Legend of Korra.
The only good part of that show was 3 out of its 4 villains. And also Korrasami, but even then we got scraps.
Yeah, the Nickelodeon are cowards.
But it also comes with the risk of, well, Legend of Korra had the different problem of never knowing when they would have a second season, so they kind of did with what they got. Also Nickelodeon hating them. But we got to see 3 of the old Team Avatar members. We got to see Iroh again, which, yay! I'm always happy when we see Iroh. But we got to see them, and they're no longer past their prime. While the White Lotus members in the original aged like fine wine, they aged like, Gouda cheese that's been left in the car for 2 years.
Tasty.
But, though Legend of Korra messed up on a lot of points which I'm not getting into today, it also gave us something else. A new generation time skip was an avatar that is kind of what Aang wasn't, and that is experienced in a different way. But focusing more on time skips, I'll get into Legend of Korra later. You have this thing of, we saw the characters in the world grow. We saw them grow past what it was. Now it's in basically steampunk industrial age, with the characters no longer being teens, but now being adults with either grandkids or even in some cases, great grandkids.
Or Dad.
Yeah, where the heck is Sokka? Where is Suki?
I have my theories, but
Okay, let's just say the invention of the train did not go well at first. Anyways, since I made her have a laughing breakdown, I'm going to take over. This is my channel now. I actually do have things to say.
Okay.
Avatar, I'm talking Avatar The Last Airbender, if what she said wasn't obvious, not the Blue People movie I haven't seen.
Yeah.
We'll probably talk about that at some point, because I have some stupid things to give my input on as well. Because that's what more people want, my input. Avatar The Last Airbender is uniquely suited for handling time skips well. Although, is it really The Last Airbender anymore? Whatever. It's in the same universe, because the Avatar is naturally a generational thing. Only one person can be the Avatar, and the Avatar story is going to be different as time goes on. Imagine how the different elements will interact with, let's just say, the far future, where things have industrialized a lot. How will harmony be handled there, if it can even be handled in such a world? Or even in our modern age? Do you know what an earthbender could do to someone's house? Do you want to see what an earthbender can do to someone's house?
I mean, yeah, since we do know where you're going to get a series on the next Avatar, it has been announced, but we haven't gotten anything yet. We could see the earthbending Avatar after Korra and see how they handle it. If everything progressed as far as it did between the end of Avatar The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, we could see a big-time Avatar having to deal with that sort of stuff. And sadly, I don't think it's going to be Genji, even though that fan-made creation was pretty great from what I've seen of it. It's not going to happen anymore.
We can always say it's canon if Nickelodeon screws it up.
I mean,
Are they even making that? I've been out of the loop.
I mean, I've heard of it happening, but they have a lot of projects making. They have made several books on the Avatars before Aang, and are planning several more stuff. But then again, stuff in production are slow, and the live-action Avatar on Netflix has come out. I'm waiting for this full season to get out before I watch it.
Yes.
But
I've heard mixed things.
Yeah, back to time skips and how they're handled. is a big focus on where does the characters leave off, and how will this pickup actually make sense. Say you have character A and B. The entire first season of a show, we spend it having a slow burn, will they, won't they, in the background with A and B. They finally get together in the finale, kissing over a sunset and all that, but at the beginning of the next season, they're broken up and heavily salty because there's a few-year time skip in between. We don't know what happened, and the story has to do the job of catching us up to speed. And it is especially more jarring if we have, say, character C, who kind of either got into a time coma or kind of got separated from the rest of the group, had kind of missed the time skip, and is also behind. So this can happen sometimes with character C being our kind of input or eyes to the audience of what happened. Because we don't know what happened, character C doesn't know what happened if character C exists. It's the time skip's job to catch us up. If it doesn't, we'll feel jarred and not understand it. There's also the problem of the goal just being to undo what happened in the time skip. Say everything fell to utter crap hole. That's a word, right?
You haven't been using actual words this entire time. The English language is completely made up and subjective.
Fair enough.
Wagga boba.
But if it falls to crap hole and the job is just to get it out of crap hole, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But if it's, oh, this is a nitty-gritty future and it just takes like 10 minutes to get us back to the status quo, what was the point of the time skip other than the characters changing a bit? Basically, a time skip is made for character growth and changing the status quo. That's basically what all stories are, changing of the status quo. If you don't change the status quo during a time skip, you wasted a time skip. It's basically changing the city from the destroyed mess we last seen it to back to where it was before the destroyed mess, because that makes sense. But it's also a situation of don't just give us hints of what happened between the time skip, let us know. We don't need to see an entire thing of how the character's trained, but let's get us some idea of what happened.
Putting into perspective with the point that Onyx started the video with, One Piece does a good job of this, establishing why the skip happened basically immediately, and through the episodes and chapters that the characters that showed the other Straw Hats and what they were doing to get to the point they were at, it shows what they were going to be doing for the entire 2 years without showing us directly what happens. We get an idea of what they were doing and preparing for to get them ready for the new world.
None of this will make any sense if you haven't watched One Piece, so good, watch it. But back from that, we have the situation of we know where the characters were before time skip, and when the time skip catches back up to 2 years later, we see them after it. Dora's lost an eye, somehow. My money's on he fell down these stairs, or he tested his luck, similar to what he did in Logtown. Dang, none of this is gonna make sense to anyone who has not watched One Piece. But we see it. We see Nami. Well, she's grown her understanding of weather from weather wizards, or are they weather scientists?
I think they're called weather wizards unless the translation is something else.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call them weather wizards because that's exactly what they look like.
Put a picture of one just right here.
Yeah. And then we see Chopper. Again, on the island with the potato people.
He grew his understanding of medical tech, and, he's also trained his own powers. He no longer needs to, take his medication to grow, specific parts. Instead, he can grow those normally, and he only needs it to,
become a Wendigo.
I was going to say a liability.
Fair enough.
A liability, to the enemy, not to the Straw Hats, by the way.
Yeah. And then there's Frankie, who started 2 national incidents.
Started 2 national incidents and needed to rebuild his entire body from the ground up, because, that was not the pirate button.
Yeah! Just because I have the skull and crossbones on it does not make it a pirate button. But we see where the characters were. Usopp was on an island trying to kill him, while Sanji was on an island that's his worst nightmare.
You'll have to see the series to know what it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to explain this. But,
Then don't! Moving on!
yep. And an example of a bad example back to Star Wars, oh no. We have Han back to where he was at the beginning of the series. After the entire first series, his arc was him becoming less selfish and no longer being a money-driven loner. Does it count as a loner if your only friend's a Wookiee?
Are they people?
Yes?
Then you're...
Okay, fair. But we see him back exactly where he was, while Luke is now a hermit, trying to fill the Yoda role without having Yoda's funniness. Similar to them trying to have Jar Jar Binks fill C-3PO's role in the prequels.
Didn't you make a video on that?
Not yet, I will.
You should. There's a few things I could say there as well.
I know you want to strangle Jar Jar Binks, most of the fandom does.
Mr. Fred!
But it's basically a situation of none of the characters are where they were in the original. Yeah, sure, Chewie was basically doing his Chewie stuff. We saw him in the prequels, and he just floats around different groups of interest. But what's the point of Han going through his entire character arc if during the series afterwards, we know that he goes back after his kid turns to the dark side? Spoiler warning, by the way, Kylo Ren is a stupid-ass villain, and I will not be taking that back.
If you're on YouTube, you probably already knew that, especially if you're on it for an extended period of time, especially during the 2018 era. Ooh, boy, that was spicy! I will not talk about the types of individuals that will talk about that stuff. But this is a little thing we like to call character development, but backwards, or character regression. It can happen, and it can be done well. It is interesting and sad to see a character devolve. But if done improperly, instead of coming off as a tragedy, it comes off as insulting. Like with the case of Han Solo.
The only one that makes sense, she's in the exact same place where she was at the beginning of the series, is Leia. In my opinion, Leia is partially the more interesting out of the three characters, but mainly because a badass princess rebellion leader is a little bit more interesting than a farm boy who's just learning wizard powers and a gunslinger who says a quip every 10 seconds. But that's just me. But she has an arc that makes sense. Yeah, the old rebellion's over, but that does not mean she's ready to lead the new republic, but it also means that when a new problem arises, she's going to be the first one there. That's why she's the general. But it makes sense. But if the sequels were their own thing, nothing else, no other Star Wars stuff exists, dang, that's a sad reality to think about. It would make slightly more sense, but even then, they wouldn't be good. The only reason why the Star Wars series has survived after the sequels is because of nostalgia, and people keep trying.
It's very marketable despite all of its follies.
Yeah.
There are still stuff being made for it because of how marketable it is. And since we're trying to keep this on the topic of time skips, I cannot go into the rambling I was going to about world regression, not just character regression. Because we're back to square friggin' one! And you're going to need to push me off.
Yeah, that's another video. Sorry, Quartz. Yeah, he'll be back in 5 minutes again. But kind of to wrap this video up, a time skip is important for character progression outside of what we would normally see. We don't need to see every single step of a process to know that it worked. A good time skip is where we see where the characters were before time skip and then after, and it makes sense. A bad time skip is us seeing the characters regress back to normal, us not understanding how the world got to this, the characters not acting how they used to, or just plain it being lazy and going back to the status quo with nothing changing. It's all about how you write it and how you live it.
But what do you think?
Yep.
Say your thoughts in the comments.
Tell
Who
us.
knows? Give us good examples of an interesting regression of a character that happens during a time skip. Let us see. Like, I'm interested in, like, learning about different types of media. It'll be interesting to, like, just... I want to see someone break down mentally and physically and go down the path of, pure evil.
Quartz, you're kind of scaring them away. Tell us in the comments what you want to see more of. Like, share, and subscribe if you really enjoyed this content, because there's going to be more. I'm going to try to get 2 or 3 videos out a week. Sometimes my brother Quartz here will be here as well. I'm Onyx the Eevee.
I'm Quartz.
Yep, he's Quartz. He'll be here sometimes if he feels like interrupting.
I'll be here more often because I don't really have much else to do.
Fair enough. But tell us what you want to hear, tell us if you like this, and if you excuse me, I'm off to fight the moon. Thank you for watching again. Like, share, and subscribe. And watch these other videos while I make some more. More is coming soon. Thank you. Bye.